welcome to my vlog. Today, I'm starting a new review of a TV show called Rob Riggle Global Investigator. And this show is kind of like Expedition Unknown, but it's different than that, because it's with a different person. It's Rob Riggle, and he's an actor and comedian, and he's really funny. And it's really cool because in this show he adds a comedic twist to it. In this episode, in episode 2, he was looking for the Holy Grail. And the show was called Rob Riggle Global Investigator, the Holiest of Grails. So, he's in Scotland and he's trying to track down where the Knights Templar went from having the Holy Grail, bringing it from Israel to France and then Scotland. He went to this city called Gilbertson in Scotland, and in Gilbertson there's these caves that the Knights Templar dug, and it's called Gilbertson Cove, and there's a whole cavern that was just discovered a couple years ago, and they've been digging it out and excavating it, and as they've been going through it, they've found a whole bunch of Knights Templar and Freemason insignias and stuff carved into tables and walls. And the Knights Templar, they basically made furniture out of the stone that they carved these tunnels and these little caves in. There's a whole bunch of tunnels that actually branch off of this tunnel system in Gilbertson, Scotland, and they think it leads to main headquarters for the Knights Templar, a town which led to a town called Town of Warrior, which that was when the Knights Templar were around, and now it's called, the city in modern times is called Temple. And that was one of their main spots where they hung out and did where they lived, and that was just their main spot where they did everything to kind of rule over Europe. And the Knights Templar were spread all over Europe and Israel, but they had multiple main spots, main hubs where they were, but this was one of their main hubs in Scotland. And the Knights Templar, they even branched out to Nova Scotia, Canada, and there's rumors that they brought some of their treasure to an island called Oak Island. And if you know a show on the History Channel called The Curse of Oak Island, they tracked a whole bunch of stuff from the Knights Templar there. So there's rumors that some of the Knights Templar treasure is there, and you never know, the Holy Grail might be on Oak Island, or it might be in Scotland, where people think it is. In the early to mid 1300s, there was a battle that the Knights Templar were in, and they were fighting, I don't remember who they were fighting, but they were fighting some faction in the early 1300s to mid 1300s to around 1344. And the battle was called Burn, something like that. And there's this family in Scotland that is connected to the Knights Templar called the Sinclair family, and I've heard about them from The Curse of Oak Island, that show. And this family, since they were connected to the Knights Templar, they were fighting with the Knights Templar to try and win this battle. And the Sinclair family built a church or chapel called the Roslin Chapel, and it's believed that that is where the Knights Templar left some treasure, because it is rumored that there is a vault under Roslin Chapel, and or it's you won't be able to dig it up because it's protected by the Scotland government, and also if you were to dig under the chapel to try and find the vault, you would be digging out under the chapel. It would make the chapel unstable and it could potentially fall down, which would not be good because this chapel is close to 700 years old, and you really don't want a 700-year-old piece of architecture to fall down. You just don't want that. So the vault will probably never be found, but there could also be a tunnel that the Knights Templar dug to get into the vault, because the Knights Templar are known to have dug tunnels and stuff like that. So then Rob Riggle and one of a historian, they went on a kayak down a river that went right by the Roslin Chapel, and Rob Riggle has a LiDAR, which is a piece of equipment that shoots out thousands of lasers a second. You can't see the lasers, but what it does is it spins around and it takes thousands of points where the lasers scan, and it'll run it through a program where you can take vegetation and can look under dirt and stuff. And Rob found a tunnel, so they park the canoe and Rob starts going through the tunnel, and he's going, and the tunnel starts out pretty tall where he could stand up, but he'd have to hunch over so he wouldn't hit his head, and then it just progressively got smaller and smaller as he went through. And at one point he's in the tunnel and he finds a skeleton, and the skeleton is of a deer that probably went in there and couldn't get out, or couldn't figure out how to get out, and just died in there. And he keeps going, and all of a sudden the tunnel dead ends. So after that he turns around and he heads back out, and that's pretty much the end of the show. And then he's back at home, and he had an archaeologist go and check out that tunnel, and they're like, it could be medieval. It's most likely a medieval, but a Knights Templar tunnel that the Knights Templar dug go from the Roslin Chapel to the little river. That's where the tunnel ended. So there could be other tunnels that lead into the chapel vault, and since it's blocked tunnel, they blocked it off. Nobody will ever get to go through there because it's historical land and it's preserved. So we most likely will never know if the Holy Grail is under Roslin Chapel or if it's in another spot. You never know. It could be on Oak Island. That is what this episode was about. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this episode. I will be doing another review next week of Rob Riggle Global Investigator, and that show is called Pirate's Booty. So stay tuned for that, and don't forget to hit the bell icon down below so you can be notified when I upload videos. Also, please share this video with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you guys for watching, and if you ain't dreaming, you ain't living. Don't forget to dream big.